Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to take this very stock standard default bar chart, column chart that was put on my slide, and I'm going to transform this slide from this to this. It's going to be much more engaging for your reader, and it's really quick. It's really easy. Anyone can do these kind of edits. You don't have to be a professional designer to do it. So let's go ahead, escape out of this slide, and see how quickly we can do our edits. The first thing I'm going to do is push Control D. That's going to duplicate my slide so that I can have the original version with me at all times as well. Now here's the thing. I put in this column chart. If it's a live column chart, you know that because the chart design tab is activated here on the ribbon. If you were to right click and say edit data or edit data in Excel, the behind the scenes window, the data window is going to pop up, and that's just an Excel a file like this. So in your Excel file here, you're probably going to have data like this. If you wanted to insert a column chart right from scratch, you're just going to go ahead and copy that data from your Excel worksheet. I'm going to actually go ahead and just get rid of this chart just so I can show you inside of this chart placeholder here. I'm going to go ahead and click the chart. I want the column chart option right here. Click OK, and now I'm going to go ahead and paste in my data to the window that pops up here, to that chart window. It's going to take just a second. There's my chart window right here. I'm going to go ahead and I will show you here. I'm going to Control V to paste that data in there. And you don't need series 2 and 3 because we don't have those there, so I'll delete them. And you can see here is my column chart. Now, there needs to be a lot of editing to go on in this chart because this is a presentation slide designed to present to people. I don't need this series, this chart title, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it. A lot of these things I probably don't need, but even if I did want the axis text, that's really tiny. It's 12-point font. We would want everything to be probably up to 18-point font at least. I'm just going to go ahead and do that so we see those there. And the series name right here, we don't need the series. It's a single column chart, so there's no legend. There's no legend that's necessary for our chart right here. Okay, so some of the other things that I thought about here with our column chart, what I want to do is I want to make it a little bit wider, fill the slide. I want to go ahead and I want to really reduce the gap width of these bars. They're really tiny. I want it to be thicker and chunkier. So I'm just going to go ahead and over to the Format Data Series window, we're going to reduce the gap width. Right now it's set to 219. That was the default for this column chart. I'm going to go ahead and reduce it to about 30%. And now you can see that looks so much nicer. Now the other thing I want to do is add direct labels to those columns so that people don't have to estimate. In this case, I don't need the estimation. I just want them to see the values. So we're going to right click and say add data labels. Those data labels are going to pop up, but I'm going to have to adjust some things here. So click on them from 12-point font to 18-point font. I want them to be nice and black and maybe bold as well. Now, because we have labels, we don't need this axis or the grid lines anymore. So you can just click on the grid lines right there in the chart, backspace to delete them. They're gone. Go ahead and click in the axis there, the y-axis or the vertical axis. Click in there, backspace to delete that one. Excellent, we don't need that. Now we have our x-axis labels here. Now in this case, each of these numbers is associated with a sign. Now I could go ahead and just keep that and maybe label this as signs and people would be okay with it, but I actually want a more custom look and feel. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete this axis right here. I'm going to go ahead and backspace to delete it, and you can see on my example here, I actually made a custom label here. It gives a little bit of a visual nod to everybody that these are actual signs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way through 14. These are actual signs that I was watching visitors to see if they stopped at. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this group of things. I'll show you how I made it over here on this slide right here. I'm going to go ahead and put that chart up just a little bit there so we can see this, and maybe I'll move the chart in that way just so that it aligns pretty nicely with this thing. Now this is a set of group. This is a grouped object. I'm going to go do Shift Control G to ungroup those shapes. This is just a shape. It's a rectangle with rounded corners. So if you go at Insert and then Shapes and then Rectangle with rounded corners, I'm going to go ahead and I see the shape now here. Once you have a shape, you can type any text into it that you want to. So I would just do a 1 right here, and then I would go ahead and update the text to probably 18-point font right there. We're going to move that, and we're going to adjust the shape of it, and then I'm just going to go ahead and say no fill, and the line I want it to be this sort of dark gray around it. But you can see that's how I made one of them, and then I just duplicated it. I just made sure that it was probably the right size, and then I just duplicated it 14 times. So I just put that along, and then once you have all of these shapes together, you can go ahead and make sure that we are aligning them perfectly. We're going to select them all just like that. The arrange tools, align to the middle. That's really nice. And you can see it's not really perfect there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to nudge this over. I'm going to nudge the first box over just so that it looks pretty aligned there with my first column. And then my last sign is my 14. So I'm going to move that over so that that is pretty well aligned. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my distribute tool. So I'm going to highlight all those boxes, and then I'm going to go to arrange, align, and horizontally distribute, and now there's equal amount of space between those signs. So I've already created this nice little custom axis right here. If I want to group them all, I'm going to highlight them, drag over to highlight, kind of the lasso tool there, and Control G to group. And now that's my nice little custom tool right there. Now the other thing that I want to do is I want to add some action to this bar chart. This looks pretty good as it is, but I want to add a little bit more visual interest here. So I'm going to actually gray everything out. So I'm going to click on those bars, and we're going to make everything gray. And then I want to draw everyone's attention to the fact that this number 8, sign number 8, has a lot of people stopping at it, 86%. So we're going to isolate that. You double click the bar to just isolate that one single bar or column. Go to the paint bucket here, and this is where we're going to update that color. I'm going to put it to that blue, and I think that looks really nice. Now, here we have our slide title. It says percentage of visitors who stopped at the signs in the exhibit. That's fine, but it's a boring title. It doesn't tell me anything about the actual message that I want people to take away from that chart. So let's go ahead and just make it more of an action statement. Visitors stopped at sign number 8 far more often than any other sign. And if you wanted to do this, a little kind of a color coding trick here, let's do number 8 and let's make that blue as well. This is a pretty cool little technique that really draws your attention from that number to that number 8 to the actual bar that's in the actual slide. Now this is an example of a really effectively designed slide. There's not too much on it, perfect amount of white space. The data viz, the chart is perfect. Mwah. It looks really, really good from a design perspective. Let's go ahead and put this in slideshow mode. It looks so much better than this slide. Don't you agree? Again, this is the before, and this is the after. And it just took about 5-6 minutes of making some design tweaks. Your audience will love this, and they will all ask you, I guarantee they will ask you, what did you design your slides in? It must be something really fancy. And you can snicker behind the scenes and just say, hey, it was PowerPoint, because you don't have to be a professional designer to look like one in the software that you already know how to use, like Microsoft PowerPoint. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it. You'll get notified every time I post a new video in data design, usually PowerPoint. And I had a great time making this for you today. I can't wait to see you all next time.